Between the fading days of the Spanish territorial era and the sudden, noisy arrival of the modern American industrial age, the Southwest was utterly transformed. The landscape shifted from isolated frontier outposts into bustling hubs of commerce and politics. And driving that change? The railroad, bringing a massive influx of new people. Navigating a societal shift that massive required a unique kind of leader. Among the most consequential of these figures was Felix Martinez. He was a man whose life literally bridged 2 centuries, and whose vision left a permanent architectural and institutional imprint on the region, especially in the city of Las Vegas, New Mexico.
On March 23, 1916, the El Paso Times ran a stark front-page headline: "Leading citizen of El Paso, dead." The obituary honored a banker, a developer, and the father of the massive Elephant Butte Dam project. When pneumonia took his life at just 58 years old, he was praised as a titan of Texas industry and a diplomat for the Wilson administration. But here's the thing. Long before he ever reshaped the Rio Grande Valley from El Paso, his political identity, his fierce advocacy, and his fortune were actually forged further north, in the high desert of New Mexico.
Part 1. The Ashes of the Frontier.
Born in Taos in 1857, Martinez entered a world still defined by the rugged realities of the frontier. Now, his roots ran deep. He was a direct descendant of Don Felix Martinez, the Captain General and Governor of the Spanish province of New Mexico all the way back in 1715. That ancestral connection gave him an enduring foundation of status and a profound sense of historical belonging. But his early life certainly wasn't easy. He lost his mother when he was just an infant, which spurred years of moving around. By 1879, he relocated to Las Vegas, New Mexico, to enter a business partnership. And according to documented family lore, that mercantile venture was almost immediately tested by a devastating fire. It completely leveled his business. But showing the incredible resilience that would come to define his public life, Martinez reportedly dug through the ashes just to salvage his blackened silver coins, tangible proof that he was committed to rebuilding. It was also around this time, in the fall of 1880, that he married Virginia Buster, starting a partnership that would last until his death.
Part 2. Boomtown and the Ring.
You see, Las Vegas in the 1880s was not some quiet, sleepy settlement. It was actually the largest and most economically vibrant town in the entire territory. It was a boomtown, swelling with new arrivals, sudden wealth, and a lot of intense friction. To put that into perspective, the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo had guaranteed the property rights of the region's Hispanic residents. But when the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad arrived in 1879, that isolation ended overnight. By 1890, the population of San Miguel County had skyrocketed to 52,000. This massive influx sparked a fierce central conflict over land, resources, and the very future of the territory itself.
And when you have this rapid blending of incoming Anglo settlers and established Hispanic families, you sometimes get romanticized myths that obscure the actual historical record. For example, oral traditions claimed Martinez's wife, Virginia, was the daughter of a heartbroken judge fleeing Virginia who was attacked by Native Americans on the Santa Fe Trail. But when we look at the United States Census, it grounds her story in a much quieter reality. It documents her father as a widowed man working steadily in the regional milling industry. Sorting fact from lore like this is absolutely crucial to understanding the real dynamics of the era.
And one very real, heavily documented dynamic of that era was the systemic disenfranchisement of the local population. As Martinez pivoted from his mercantile trade into real estate, he ran right into the operations of what was known as the Santa Fe Ring. This was an informal but incredibly powerful network of ambitious Anglo lawyers, ranchers, and speculators. They ruthlessly exploited the confused legal status of old Spanish and Mexican land grants, actively working to dispossess Hispanic settlers of the communal lands their families had grazed for generations.
Part 3. The Voice of the People. Finding his mercantile business a bit too sedentary, Martinez sold his interests in 1886. He realized that to fight the erosion of community rights, he needed a much larger megaphone, the press and the political podium. So in 1890, he bought a small Santa Fe newspaper called La Voz del Pueblo, which translates to the Voice of the People. He moved the publication to Las Vegas and transformed it into the preeminent Spanish-language newspaper in New Mexico. This wasn't just a source for local news. It was an educational platform. He used it to expose the theft of communal lands, detail wage disparities, and offer a highly sophisticated counter-narrative to the powerful establishment press. While Martinez campaigned in print, rural unrest was taking physical form out in the countryside.
Between 1889 and 1891, a clandestine organization known as Las Gorras Blancas, or the Whitecaps, emerged. Riding by night, they engaged in direct, symbolic property destruction. They cut the barbed wire fences of encroaching ranchers and burned barns. And while the true inner workings of the group are still cloaked in secrecy today, their actions established a firm, undeniable legacy of resistance against the loss of the Las Vegas land-grant commons.
It was during this crisis that Martinez showed masterful political positioning. At a major public meeting on August 16, 1890, he stood before the citizens of Las Vegas and delivered a defining speech. He said, "The fence cutters in their lawlessness must be suppressed, but the land thief in his evil doing must also be put down, and put down to stay." It was a brilliant line. He condemned the vigilante violence, but unequivocally championed the underlying grievances. He framed the conflict not strictly as an ethnic clash, but as a struggle against unchecked corporate land grabs. Martinez then took all this widespread agrarian unrest and channeled it into organized political power. He stepped up to lead El Partido del Pueblo Unido, the United People's Party. This was a populist movement that successfully unified disillusioned voters across the board. Under his guidance, this coalition managed to significantly weaken the establishment's iron grip on San Miguel County, securing major electoral victories in the territorial assembly throughout the early 1890s. Part 4. Father of the Normal School. Once elected to the Territorial House of Representatives and later the Territorial Council, Martinez shifted his focus. He moved from immediate protest to building enduring institutional infrastructure for his community. And his time in the legislature yielded some truly landmark results. In 1893, he sponsored the legislation that established the New Mexico Normal University, which we know today as New Mexico Highlands University. His tireless advocacy for higher education and teacher training actually earned him the title Father of the Normal School. At the exact same time, he secured the establishment of the state hospital in Las Vegas. These acts provided an absolutely essential economic engine for the town, ensuring its survival even as railroad activities slowly shifted south toward Albuquerque. From 1893 to 1897, Martinez served his final major role in Las Vegas as the clerk of the United States and Territorial Courts for the 4th Judicial District. Being in this position deepened his expertise in federal land law and administration. However, he eventually realized the limitations of the territory's heavily delayed path to statehood. His ambitions were growing. So, in 1897, he relocated his family down to El Paso, Texas, seeking a broader platform for his financial and political vision. Part 5. A lasting hometown legacy. Even though the second half of his life was spent shaping the physical and economic landscape of West Texas and serving in diplomatic roles for the federal government, his core philosophy remained deeply tied to his New Mexican origins. Martinez had a complex, universalist view of his own identity in a rapidly changing nation. He vehemently opposed race prejudice, making his stance perfectly clear during a 1915 commencement address. When categorized by others, his response was simple and firm: "I am an American." He didn't view his Spanish lineage as a marker of foreignness. Instead, he saw it as a foundational, pre-existing pillar of the American Southwest. It was an identity that demanded equal participation in the nation's democratic and economic systems. When Martinez died in 1916, the mourning spanned the entire region. The historical record is filled with accounts of public funerals, flags flown at half-mast, and heartfelt tributes pouring in from across the Rio Grande Valley. He was honored as a man whose vision was just as expansive as the landscape itself. He was a pioneer who seamlessly bridged two distinct eras of American history. Today, his legacy remains firmly anchored in the physical geography of Las Vegas, New Mexico. For modern students arriving at New Mexico Highlands University, their very first stop is often the Felix Martinez Student Services Center. It's the building that houses admissions and financial aid. Sitting right there on the campus he literally legislated into existence over a century ago. For the diaspora of Las Vegas, those whose roots tie back to the high desert of San Miguel County, the history of Felix Martinez is far more than just an archival record. It's living proof that the institutional bedrock of their hometown was shaped by deliberate, strategic advocacy. It remains a permanent record of resilience. It's a reminder of a man who utilized the press, the courts, and the legislature to ensure his community would have a voice, an education, and a permanent place in the modern era. Martinez used the systems of his time to build an enduring foundation for his hometown. Looking at our own communities today, it leaves us with a critical question to consider. Who are the forgotten architects of our foundations? And what vital institutions are we building for the diaspora of tomorrow?